All right, hello everyone. It is actually quite late where I am, but I wanted to get this done. So I tend to overthink this stuff. So researched where these 8 points come from. They come from Russian Cosmopolitan magazine, circa 2010, a little bit earlier. So because these are cultural and we're going to overlay them with attachment style, and later I think we'll we'll try to factor in the love languages. So Gary Chapman's 5 love languages is really good if you don't want to get clinical. If you just want a essential understanding of things like love tank in your partner, why your partner feels unloved because you don't know their love language, it can help you learn it. And then you will have to maybe learn a whole love language. There's one guy had trouble with physical touch, and his partner wanted physical touch, but he was never a huggy type person. So he basically had to desensitize himself to not feeling uncomfortable when he hugged someone. That's is probably what love would be, is that amount of sacrifice. So we'll look at point 8, and it's a really, really big point. It's like I went into AI and threw out some things there of what I think and what it comes back with. And this is a really big one. This is very, very cultural and very, very attachment style. So what's it say? Point 8 is this. A Russian woman stoically endures every hardship. A Russian woman doesn't want to be happy and doesn't know how. Happiness isn't a tradition. The Russian woman is sharpened for overcoming difficulties, battling circumstances, and other forms of sacrifice. Everything demands sacrifice: beauty, family, relationships. Otherwise, how could she later say, I spent my best years on you? If you tell a Russian woman that life is for happiness and pleasure, you will deeply traumatize her. Just imagine she has fought all her life and someone else does none of that and gets roughly the same result. And if there are no objective difficulties, don't worry, she'll definitely find them. Now, is that harsh? Probably. It's not relevant to, I don't think, 2025. I know plenty of Slavic women who enjoy concepts of what they think happiness is. They still have trouble laughing a lot, though, I've noticed. And they still don't smile, which is probably not a bad thing, because some Russians have critiqued Americans for just looking stupid for smiling for no reason. So it's more a validation, I guess, if you get to get some laughs out of some Russian people. But I'm not saying they're all like that. The stoicism, unfortunately, still rules over their lives. And a lot of what's in here is really, really evident. It's still incredibly evident in the women today who carry the trauma over from past relationships, past divorces, from being widowed, just being not treated well by their husband or beloved. So happiness isn't our tradition. You can get that. You can get that today. I had one guy, well, a friend told me he got flowers for some woman when there was a bit of trouble, and this Ukrainian guy who lived in Russia said, Russian women don't like weak men. And my friend decided to disconnect from this guy. This is the same guy I said another one where he has a Ukrainian saying that like everything is bullshit, meaning like rubbish, and doesn't mean anything except the bees, but even then they become bullshit and rubbish. So I'm just like, what a great philosophy. Hey, let's just wake up tomorrow and just go, everything in the world is just complete rubbish, and the one thing that isn't will end up being rubbish. Now, how's that for Stoicism? So yeah, so why bother looking for any happiness with that mindset? So, and this same guy can't even leave the house without approval from his wife on his attire. And yes, I am aware that this is somewhat cultural, but yeah, it's like, don't be a hypocrite. Don't talk about weak men when you are one yourself. So now this last bit is well, I can go into it here. I'm still gonna have this channel focus on what's deemed disorganized / fearful avoidant, because it's only factors into between 7, depending on what you read, 7 and 15% of the population. Now, I had a chat with someone around this, and it's really quite confronting for your average Russian person, male or female, to actually self-examine. But they do have that interesting thing of, I should get the Russian phrase, but anyone that's Russian that's watching this will get it, that they have a saying of withdrawing into oneself or going into oneself. And a friend of mine said, if a woman's done that, it could be quite some time until you hear back from them. And I've looked it up, and it can be seasonal. It can even be 6 months. It can be 12 months. So all I'm doing is bringing that up with the last line. Okay, so she has fought all of her life, and someone else does none of that and gets roughly the same result. It's this next line is what will label them disorganized, fearful avoidant. Okay, this line right here. And if there are no objective difficulties, don't worry, she would definitely find them. So I got some clarity on objective difficulties, because the word objective has 3 or 4 meanings, right? So the context it's in here is in relationship to subjective. So like, how can we word it? So if you have a subjective opinion or viewpoint on something, it is purely yours. So it is biased if it's subjective. If it's objective, it is steeped in fact. So it's saying if there are actually no problems, there's no problems in the relationship, there's not. They're wired to find them. And then that can give them an out if they're fearful avoidant, where they're going into deactivation, which means they are overwhelmed by the amount of closeness they're having and the fear of losing independence. So I did go further into this, and I will see if I can find it so I can actually add more to this, and we'll go to it. Well, let's just cover the other bits. So everything demands sacrifice, beauty, family, relationships. Otherwise, how could she later say, I spent my best years on you? And they do. I mean, I've had someone say the role of a Russian woman's part in the relationship is to look after her man. So it's wired into this woman that she had to take care of me. And then that became too much, which was where it, to me, as someone with a background in psychology, I had to teach myself about fearful avoidant. Whereas other, I mean, I can go on and on about the opinions of people, the sarcasm, the willful ignorance, and opinions based in a distinct lack of knowledge of attachment style. So, and there's lots of blaming on the men. It's like, oh, what did he do? Why did she walk out on him? And like, I'm not talking about me or friends or anything, but generally speaking, in Russia with the high divorce rate, seems to be always the man, doesn't it? Like, maybe that's why this article was written. Maybe it's like, if it's in Cosmopolitan magazine, a magazine for women, maybe it's actually just put in there as a self-awareness of like, even though we like to think we're somehow good people or perfect or worth having a relationship with, it's clearly not the case. And like, maybe it's a time in your life you need to look within instead of looking outward, because it cannot be every single person in your life who has issues with them. It's possible. With the amount of issues that people have, it's possible you mightn't be able to land someone with secure attachment style, and you just bounce from dismissive avoidant, fearful avoidant, anxious preoccupied, but they won't leave you. Anxious preoccupied won't, unless they start a fight using protest behavior where it's maladaptive. So if you don't get a response in a text, they will start a fight with you just over that, because you didn't meet their need, and they need to work on themselves, that they have to be able to understand you can be busy. So I will find this fearful avoidant relationship to that actual line, and then probably look at wrapping it up. But there's still a lot to dig into. All right, so this is from ChatGPT. And whatever your opinions on artificial intelligence are, you can have those opinions and you can laugh at me for referencing it. But when you are doing clinical research and it actually gives you reference points, and this thing can actually access all the data across the internet, and it will access scholarly articles. It will actually go into university papers and PhDs, evidence-based research. So scoff at it if you want, but that's your lack of understanding of it, not mine and not people that use it. So, okay, so I critiqued point 8 and actually asked it about its relationship to fearful avoidant, aka disorganized in the attachment styles. If you want a refresher on the attachment styles, the secure attachment, 60% of population, you form healthy relationships, you enhance each other's lives, and you have effective communication. Okay. Anxious, and they call it anxious preoccupied, but it can be anxious attachment. So you had a parent who was unreliable in giving you attention. So one day they might be smothering you, spending a lot of time with you. The next day they can just be distant, cold, and act like you are a problem to them or unwanted. So you wake up one day you're wanted, the next day you're not wanted. So it just creates the anxiety in you. So you cling on to someone that pays you attention, and when they don't, you go into protest behavior. So then after that, there's dismissive avoidant, which are the ones that are raised in a sort of, think workaholics. Just think those middle class, upper class people who have a lot of money, drive nice cars, and have children. And those children generally are quite rebellious. They will go out and listen to music that will drive you up the wall, and you don't understand it because, well, Johnny has everything he needs, his cars for birthday, but he doesn't get the one thing he wants and needs. He doesn't get love, attention, and nurturing. So no amount of fancy toys is going to stabilize and breed a healthy child. So it's been proven that parents in a caravan park can raise a more well-adjusted child than someone in a mansion with 5 Mercedes-Benz out the front. Money is not a substitute for love and attention and nurturing and making someone feel wanted. And that's, so the dismissive avoidant has that as their role model. No love, no affection, but somehow these male and female are somehow together and somehow sort of make work enough to have had a child who they don't know how to love. And then you grow up and be that same person, unless you can manage to meet a secure, and you might actually slide out of being dismissive. But it will take work, and you will need to acknowledge it. So, and then that's what we're dealing with here. Fearful avoidant is the ones where a lot of it's from being unwanted by one parent. So it's quite contradictory, where they might get love from, say, the mother, rejection from the father, and then particularly it's really bad if it's rejection from the father, because then the women are just of the understanding that men can't love, so they don't expect it, so they will go into, and I researched, I was going to start calling relationships dysfunctional, but they are, if you want to use a harsh term, if you want to use a more polite term, maladaptive behavior is the more fitting term. So if you don't know it, there is adaptive behavior, which generally as a species we adapt. We adapt in a healthy way to the environment. We can build houses, we can put warm clothes on, and we overcome obstacles in a survival manner. So maladaptive behavior is like becoming an alcoholic, drug addict, beating your partner, cheating on your partner, and doing things that are damaging to not only your partner, but to you yourself. So it's not a good strategy to adapt. So how does point 8 relate to fearful avoidant? This is how. So ChatGPT will say the last line of point 8, if there are no objective difficulties, she'll find them, is basically a pop mag version of fearful avoidant dynamics. So this is, I'm reading this. Here's the clean way to frame it. So what it really is, not moral failure. When someone's nervous system learned early that love equals danger, instability, calm feels unfamiliar. The body hunts for threat to regain control. If none appears, it may manufacture distance, pick fights, withdraw, nitpick, raise impossible standards. So a fearful avoidant pattern in a sentence is this: come close, no. Too close, back off. Approach, overwhelm, deactivation. Some people struggle with this concept. I have to say I've had to research it for some time because of an experience with it. So you try to explain it to people, and you're trying to explain something that is like can be less than 7% of the population, and it's not talked about and it's not known. And when you have American shows like Cheaters, remember that. Remember the whole world went through this incredible fixation of finding the most simplistic answer. And it just let people off the hook of having to think, of having to use their brains to comprehend the human condition. So some bright spark producer or writer said, how about we go out and film people cheating on their partner? So then people ring in and go, I think my partner's cheating on me. And they go out and film it. There's a big scandal. It pulls people in. So what happened to the world? The world became pretty simplistic in its thinking. So why do I say that? Because it seems that no longer in the world can a husband and wife disagree. They can't fight over something. They can't critique what color they want to paint the bedroom and have an argument. No. If there's an argument, one of them's got to be cheating. Cheating. It's the easy way out. I'm not going to think that they could just disagree. It could be one person wants one thing, the other person wants something else. But no, let's just reduce it to animalistic sex. Let's just reduce it to the fact that one of them needs to jump into bed with another human being because two people in the world were no longer allowed just to have an argument, just be upset. Maybe the woman is menopausal. Maybe she's having hot flushes. Maybe the husband wants to sleep under the blankets and it makes the woman uncomfortable. And then they have a fight. Was there any cheating in that? No, there wasn't a third person anywhere to be seen. They just happened to disagree. So it's just why I struggle when I actually like to absorb information and I know slightly what I don't know. This is saying that you don't know what you don't know. I know that I don't know a lot. So that's why I actually enjoy reading about stuff. And then as the old British saying, the penny drops, it's like you have wondered all your life why something's a certain way, and you read books and you seek out knowledge and you look at documentaries, you talk to people, you can even interview people and do a paper on it. And then you can magically understand that incredible question you've carried your whole life and just heard nothing but nattering misinformation garnished from stupid television shows designed to make money and get ratings, and you buy into it and go, well, it must be that because I saw it on TV. And you don't want to actually get a book and read it and study the human condition, what happens in childhood, the blueprint of your personality. And you can all buy into toxic positivity and stoicism and say, just get over it. And trust me, if all the world could get over it, they would. So there's clearly more to it than that. So going back to this, when you have, they may manufacture distance. So this is the fearful avoidant who can't get close because of the fear that if they give all their love to someone, they will get hurt. So they are generally the ones that will end the relationship before you do. So they will walk away, even though they could have had the most amazing relationship of their life with someone that loved and cared, but they will pull away because of things that happened in their past. And some people, what was it? So there was this Russian person said to me that they were the embodiment of Murphy's Law. I spoke to a Russian friend last night, Artem, and he said they frame it as the law of meanness. So Russians, for people that don't know, have a lot of superstitions. I liken it to actually, and probably wrongly, to Hispanics, because I've watched a lot of Hispanic films and they are very steeped in like the Catholic religion and superstition and black cats and ladders and mirrors and the color of roses they get, the number of roses they get, all carry deep significance, which the rest of the world, well, to some of the world, have no understanding of it and just would just actually just be in amazement that someone can take some small thing so incredibly serious that they could use it to end a relationship. And so there's a saying I learned that a man cannot enter the same river twice, and that's used to end relationships in Russia. And boy, oh boy, we don't have it in the West, because we will just work it out. We'll just go. People do move on. There is a thing here where if you have, say, a working class couple and one goes to university, mixes with a crowd of different people on an intellectually stimulating basis, and then the partner doesn't progress in life, it can actually end up being really difficult because one of them's just becoming bored, and it has been responsible for the end of some relationships. So I've rabbited on enough, so I'll wind this up. So going back to fearful avoidant, why problems get created. Anticipatory rejection. I'll leave before you leave me. We know those people. We know them. So negative expectancy, good can't last. Bit of superstition, jinxed, I'm jinxed, I can't have a happy relationship. And self-sabotage, a very popular one in the West, is a thing of a self-fulfilling prophecy, where if you are wired and you don't actually willingly want bad things to happen to yourself, believe it or not, you don't. But if you have been programmed as an integrated mapping of the neural pathways, that you could have had a parent that just go, you'll never amount to anything. You're just a waste of space. You won't amount to anything. And you hear this between the ages of 2 and 7. It is programmed into your little mind. and you will unconsciously ruin good things. And you don't want to, but until you remap the pathways, you are unfortunately locked into that behavior. So, yeah, so good can't last, self-sabotage to restore the known state, tension alone over the safe state. Brilliant writing right there, okay? So that just backs up what I said. So no one wants to, in generally speaking, we are not as a species designed to go it alone. There was actually, that is in, now I'm trying to think if it's attached or if it's the Love Languages book. One of them talks about a guy that was going to like the North Pole by himself, and he just wasn't telling his parents, wasn't telling him, he ended up dying. And then it made this guy realize that we as a species survive better when in a tribe. So that's why things like marriage and families happened, because it increased your chances of survival. But the fearful avoidant will work with this, that their known state, the only state they know from being a child, is being rejected in love or being loved for a while. It's too good to be true, and they make sure it doesn't stay true. So, and then that's right, in the book, dismissive avoidant, right, they have actually possibly learned that if they stay close to someone that wasn't going to survive, like it's say in a tribe out in the cold, and if they got attached to say the weakest member of the tribe, they have an awareness they're putting themselves in danger, and so they would discard that weak person. And it's quite a callous method, but it's predominantly survival. So yeah, so there you go. So their known state is tension and being alone. So seeking to be loved, but pulling from it all of their life. They can make it work. I've researched if fearful avoidants can get married. They can get married and it can last, but they need a partner that understands when they need their alone time. So it's possible, but it's an awareness of how they act and react. So, so Chat GPT is saying how to keep this video I'm doing compassionate. So it's a trauma adaptation, not bad character. VK, you know, the VK moralizes it. You can translate it into attachment style. Yeah, so they're talking about that. The Russian woman creating the problem is actually a Slavic cultural ingrained behavior, but it also transfers across in a lot of cases to fearful avoidant attachment. So there's a couple of little things, and I'll end it on that. So AI has said this, it sums it up. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. If your map says love equals danger, peace feels wrong, so you poke holes in it until the picture matches the map. There you go. Okay, that's behavioral. Fearful avoidant summary. Fearful avoidant won't love, it wants love. Let's remember this. They actually want the love and get scared of it. Wants love, expects pain. When nothing's wrong, the system looks for something, anything to justify pulling away. So let's get an understanding and a handle on what's going on. If any of you find someone and you have the most amazing time of your life, and this guy buys you flowers opens doors for you, is like the perfect gentleman, and then all of a sudden he is gone, just gone, no phone calls, nothing. He may well have been fearful avoidant and it got too much for him, and they will sometimes frame themselves as they're not in a good space, they're not ready for it, I'm no good for you. So it happens. There's a lot of fearful avoidant men out there. I mean, I read it on a lot of the sites I reference. So yeah, it's not that these people are bad people. It comes from a place of trauma. So that's something we all need to actually, we need to have some of the compassion for them that they never received as children. So it wants love, expects pain. When nothing's wrong, the system looks for something, anything. Okay, so partner guidance, consistency, clear boundaries, and repair after ruptures. No chasing, no rescuing, safety over speeches. That's right. So if you get yourself in a relationship with fearful avoidant, you just need to actually not contact them. There's a thing called no contact, where the only way you can get them back, if you want to try to make it work, is no contact. Look it up on the internet. It's everywhere. You just stop reaching for them. And we're geared to think that that makes us cold and doesn't love them. But believe it or not, the complexity of the fearful avoidant is that when you love them, you won't contact them. They will contact you when they're healed enough. So earned security is real. Oh, okay. So some of you out there may not know what EMDR is. This is how to work on yourself, plus practice safe closeness in small, repeatable repetition, somatic work. Yeah. Actually, there's a term in there, I don't know, called IFS. EMDR, I know, and it's a very modern therapeutic technique, which can do in, say, 7 sessions, which like 2 years of regular counseling does, where it basically remaps your brain pathways. So if you've got some problem and you want to address that problem, I know so many people that have come out of EMDR therapy and go, I had a problem and I no longer have that problem, because it actually works on a ping pong effect. So that's it. That is enough for everyone tonight. And I will see you in the next video. And I'm thinking of doing The Runaway Bride and similar movies and how that relates to fearful avoidant. So I will see you next time. Everyone take care and show some compassion for your fellow human being, and just understand, if they don't appear to be nice people, they may not be nice people, but they may be people who are hurting as well. All right, so everyone take care.